We hope you enjoyed last week's episode 199, part 1, but you've probably been losing your mind since then. What happened in part 2? What on God's green, glorious earth are they going to talk about in part 2? Well, you're going to find out in about 30 seconds. Enjoy.
You so freaking bad. Wrestle me.
So Tommy Dreamer's another one. I mean, you were talking about Alice in Chains earlier, and I think he was what? He was
Man in the Box.
Man in the Box. How did the whole thing come about for obviously, WWF was doing it at the time with the CDs and the theme music and all that shit. ECW, you guys put out the fucking all these themes where you got your main theme on there, you got Hookah Blues, and then you got a bunch of, I think Motorhead was doing some covers on there and whatnot.
There was that Manson song on there too, wasn't there?
Did you have anything to do with putting any of that together?
Yeah and no. What I helped the record label a great deal, but they just really didn't understand ECW.
Mm.
And I do understand a lot of people have a lot of love for the ECW CD, but we never used Heard It on the X, ever.
Right.
There's songs on there that we requested. We absolutely requested Bruce Dickinson doing The Zoo. We absolutely requested having a cover of Motorhead. Not Motorhead, of having a cover of Enter Sandman. At one point, it was supposed to be Biohazard as the backing band.
Oh shit.
But that kind of fell apart. The record label was kind of doing like a pay to play thing with the CD, where they had other record labels pay to have one of the bands they were promoting do one of the covers on there as a way of exposing them to a different audience.
Right. Which
is why, nothing against the band Kilgore. They did a great job, but it could have been 1,000 other bands that did the same thing. It's
Agreed.
Not like Paul Heyman said, I got to have Kilgore on this record.
Fuck no, I didn't.
What I was hoping it would be is just license the original music, like a soundtrack.
Yeah.
The record label had different ideas because they wanted to make money off sales, but also make money off the placement of other artists' labels within that world. I'm glad we got the Trace Diablo songs because I knew Dimebag Darrell and the other guys from Pantera.
Nice.
But we never used that track, ever. There was one for an MC5 song, Kick Out the Jams.
Yep.
I don't think we ever played even the original version, the New York Dolls or the MC5 version, whatever the original band was. I don't think we ever played that song on the show. But somehow they ended up on the CD. I remember strongly opposing Muscadine, the Big Balls cover, and it was off the CD at one point. I was very hands-on, but I didn't have final say.
Right.
The reason Muscadine made it is we had chosen School's Out, the Alice Cooper tune, being covered by Seven Dust.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
And I said, let's use this on the CD and give it to Chris Chetty, the First Graduate, School's Out.
Yeah.
Okay, we can play off of that. There was something to do with the contracts that I think maybe 100 copies with School's Out was printed, and then it got pulled at the last second and replaced with Big Balls being covered by Muscadine.
You got to have the original on that, man.
We never used the Muscadine version of Big Balls under any circumstances.
Right.
Balls Mahoney until his dying day. I hated that song.
No shit.
So the album could have been, for what it was good enough, but it could have been so much better.
Yeah, but it was still cool that it happened. There were a lot of different things that, you guys getting into the video games, which I'll break into here in a second. But
one last thing on that record, it got nominated for a Grammy.
No shit, did it?
Wow.
I believe
crazy.
it. I believe it was the Motorhead version of Enter Sandman was nominated for Best Heavy Metal Performance that year at the Grammys. It didn't win. Ozzy Osbourne won the category, but they got nominated. That's thing cool. Is, it isn't Motorhead. It's a band called Zebrahead doing the backing tracks, and Lemmy is just singing the vocals.
Huh.
Lemmy didn't play bass on that, from what I understand.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Been fucking robbed. Oh, there you have
the more
it.
you know.
Boils and ghouls
right?
behind the motherfucking
yeah, but at the end of the day, if you see the name Lemmy with Zebrahead, it doesn't mean as much to you as a consumer as the name Motorhead.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Very true.
You know, they could have done so much more and so much better. But again, we're now 24 years in the rearview mirror. So
yeah, man. I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm curious to this though too, because guys like, you know, we were talking about Jerry Lynn and Balls, like big underground metal dudes. Why the fuck wasn't Balls using any death metal shit?
Because Big Balls was perfect for him.
It was. I'll give you that. All right.
If you went to a show, you sang along with Balls Mahoney singing Big Balls.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Much like with Chris Jericho now. What the fuck?
We're leaving that in.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. So you can leave all that shit in. I don't care. So anyhow, much like how with Chris Jericho, they fade out the song and the audience sings the last line.
Mm-hmm.
Balls Mahoney was doing that 20 years ago.
Yep. Yes, he was.
You know, but we've got the biggest balls of them all.
We've got the biggest. Fuck yeah, dude. I remember as a kid, dude, me and my buddy Eddie and shit, we were fucking losing it to that stuff. Like, dude, song fucking rules.
Yeah.
You know, there were dudes that worked with Metal Blade Records and Megaforce Records and Relapse Records.
Fuck yeah.
Were huge ECW fans.
Oh yeah, I know some of them. It's like a subsidiary of Relapse. But what's his name from Mike from Horror, Pain, Gore, Death?
Yes,
he put out Mike Giuliano. He put out our second album, Handsome Prick record.
I think I know him.
You might, dude. He's at all the fucking shows, and you're familiar with Schlack?
Yes.
I think he's doing. I want to say he did some shit with one of Schlack's bands, or put some shit out, or they're doing something. Was
Mike Giuliano? Did he used to work for one of the record labels?
I think he was working for Relapse, or I think he still does. You know, don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said shit. But you know what I mean. I think there's like a loose affiliation there. I mean, he's going to be another future guest, so we'll fucking hash that out at some point. But
like I told you before, I would get like stacks of stuff from the labels, and I would listen to everything, and I would like, okay, this track could work. I'd present stuff to Paul.
Well, now, when you were getting these, were you running a distro or anything like on the side, or they were just wrestling fans and they were sending you shit?
No, they wanted to try and get some of the music on the show.
Okay.
So they sent it to the music producer of the show, and I'd listen to it and I'd make my notes and I'd present stuff to Paul. But 9 times out of 10, he'd use the same excuse. We have Jerry Lynn using that style of music. It makes him unique, which is why he didn't want to oversaturate the program with the death metal market.
But it's so cool that he had it, because I think of ECW and what Paul put together and what all you guys did as as a whole. I think of it as like your death metal, your Eazy-E, your fucking G.G. Allen, your Nirvana. You know, that's to me what, you know, when we say counterculture and revolutionary, you know, that's what all that shit is, just in one with ECW, man.
Yeah, but you couldn't overdo it within the context of a show. If you have 12 guys coming out to Morbid Angel.
Fuck yeah. Gateway's Annihilation. Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. But if only one guy is coming out to Morbid Angel.
Fuck yeah.
You know, he did overuse AC/DC and Metallica.
Yeah.
But that was his own personal taste.
Right.
You know, he could have gotten rid of every other band, including my own, and done the show with Death Row Records music, AC/DC, and Metallica as the only 3 acts. And he, as long as he had Dr. Dre and Ice-T, Natural Born Killers, he had some Snoop. He had stuff within that genre. He had his AC/DC, because there was like 6 different people that had AC/DC music.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And that was a time where I was so super burnt out on AC/DC because, great band. But when you grow up and that's all you hear, the same fucking songs on your classic rock station, it makes you like resent them. And that's unfortunate because, they're a great band.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses is the same way. Hear it so many times.
Candido used Back in Black. Balls used Big Balls. Spike used Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
And I'm missing one.
Didn't someone use Thunderstruck for a little bit? I might be thinking of someone else, like not in ECW.
No, you are thinking of someone in ECW. I'm just spacing on.
Yeah,
because I remember that. Just that opening part.
Well, you're talking about like the Dre shit and dude, come on, New Jack, another guy. Fuck, man, R.I.P. Dude. The entrances, your Sandmans, your Sabu's, your New Jacks, your Balls Mahoney, all these such iconic entrances in the world of professional wrestling, dude. New Jack, excuse me, and I just AEW just did what was it? The Anarchy in the fucking Arena match, right? With Blackpool Combat Club and Jericho Appreciation Society. And I heard him specifically say that they let the music play out, Moxley's music, Wild Thing, because the New Jack back in the day, that shit would play the whole match. It was just violent, dude. It was gangster as fuck. It's getting me fucking riled up right now just thinking about it because, dude, it was so raw, so cool, man, and just so opposite of all the cartoonish shit that was going on.
But meanwhile, it was kind of cartoonish.
It was, but on a different level, man.
Okay.
A level that hadn't really been seen, on a broader scale, so to speak, If
you take wrestling for what it is, and here's this act where it's the Gangstas or just New Jack, while their music plays on an endless loop, hitting guys in the head with PlayStations and crutches, guitars,
keyboards,
during and a Godzilla action figure and
kitchen sink. Motherfuckers would bring the legit kitchen sink.
Shit.
Yes. Okay. During a wrestling match. That is kind of Bugs Bunny if you think about it.
Yeah. Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, Wile E. Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, motherfuckers.
But nobody else was doing it.
No.
Exactly.
It was so unique to that era, whether it was New Jack on his own or New Jack and Mustafa. Their matches would last roughly 6 minutes. That's the song played twice. Okay. And the song is on an infinite loop with endless cursing while they're hitting people in the head with Sega Dreamcast and PlayStation consoles and all that crazy insanity is going on. Yeah. But at the same time, from the other side, it was very safe. New Jack was probably one of the most careful guys in the ring if he liked you.
Yeah, for real, if he liked you. Yep. What up, Vic Grimes?
Okay.
Mass Transit.
Well, that's a different thing.
Definitely
different. I want to kill that motherfucker.
he really was really good friends with C.W. Anderson, and he accidentally stapled his balls to the ring.
Oh,
because there was no staples in the staple gun.
Yeah.
Okay. New Jack would take the staples out. The guy that was about to get stapled would gig really quick. The referee had crazy glue that he would hand to either New Jack or the guy about to get dabbed. The guy would put a little drop of crazy glue on. New Jack would place the dollar bill on top of the crazy glue, letting the crazy glue stick. There was no staples in the staple gun. The blood came from gigging.
No shit.
Right. Yeah.
We never used staples. We never used a single fucking staple in ECW during a match, except accidentally one time New Jack left the staple in by mistake. He didn't know there was a staple in there when they gave him the gun.
All right, brother.
You know, that all the staples, usage of the staples did not happen in East. We use the staple gun, but the sound is the same whether there's a staple in there or not. Okay. Yeah. New Jack was amazing at misdirection because while he's holding the dollar bill on Axl Rotten's head, you know, he's waving the staple gun around and people are looking at the gun and they're not paying attention to Axl, who's got a little tiny razor blade cutting his forehead underneath the dollar bill. And then, bam, the sound sounds great. And Axl sells it and he starts bleeding. Perfect theater. Perfect fucking theater.
Yep. Fuck yeah. Dude, I can't imagine, you know, you talked how you were out of the business as far as being a fan for so long until, you know, you started getting involved with Paul and ECW and, you know, your guys' whole deal. I did a deep dive, you know, I went back like a motherfucking creep on the internet and was checking out all your pictures and photos. And brother, dude, I cannot imagine the fucking stories that you have of some of these people that you've gotten to hang out with, like the Road Warriors. RIP to both of them, dude. I was fortunate enough to meet Animal 2 years ago, but Ravishing Rick Rude, you know, like.
All right, Road Warriors, I only met a couple of times. Okay, Rick Rude, I became friends with.
Oh shit! If you wouldn't mind, please, because dude, I'm telling you right now, I fucking love Ravishing Rick Rude. From a little kid, when I loved Hulk Hogan. But I was so fucking hardcore for Rick Rude and then everything he did, like with the Dangerous Alliance. And when he dropped in with you guys, dude, I fucking miss that guy every day. Rick Rude is the shit.
You know, I did a song. His song in ECW was one of mine. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we used Francine on vocals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nobody knew it was Francine during the entire time. That's a long, long story. You know, I knew that with the right effects, I could make it not sound like her. Plus, Francine was such a great actor that everything about her changed when she went in the ring, when she went through the curtain, including her voice.
Oh, shit.
So with the hardcore, rabid ECW fans, if they suspected it was Francine singing Rick Rude's music, they would have let us know.
Smart marks. Don't work us, Pillman.
Nobody. Hey, I'm better than Pillman because me and Francine worked an entire ECW audience for years. Nobody knew. Now, what I told Paul is if nobody knows, fine. If the fans figure it out, that's just another layer within the Francine character that you can add and bring into the story that currently Rick Rude and the Triple Threat are feuding.
Yeah.
But she's singing his music. And then Rude joined the Triple Threat. Mm-hmm. You know, he became their manager, and then I think he turned on them or whatever happened. But it was just a little thing that, you know, we were able to throw in there that me and Franny can always say we were the best workers in ECW because we worked the entire world and nobody knew that it was her on vocals with me on backing vocals. But Rick Rude was awesome, man.
Dude.
He was great as a person to have around. When he wasn't high as a fucking kite.
What was his, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to fucking say it because I ain't fishing for anything, but you know, I like to party, I like to get down. What was his choice?
Well,
because I know we had Buff on the show and he told us about Kurt Hennig's, like the unicorn fucking thing. It was like 5 or the rainbow pack where it's like 5 different colored pills. But in order to get that pill and take that 3-hour ride, you had to gargle some Jack Daniels.
I can't really say what his drug choice was. I know that he needed painkillers because of his body.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You know, if you saw the hit in Japan where he got bent in half backwards, the fact that the only reason he could still walk was because of how physically fit and his muscular structure was. In the area he got injured. Now, he did a couple of rude awakenings, and he said straight up it hurt.
Damn.
He did one to, I think, Shane or for I forget who, the first time they did it in the arena, and he came backstage, and you saw the look in his eyes like he was not happy. He was hurting from it. It's a compression bump where you're landing on your ass and it goes all the way up from your ass to your neck, jars upwards. He did like to smoke the pot.
Fuck yeah.
One time I took him back to the hotel and I was hanging out in his room, just me and Rick, and we're smoking weed and just shooting the shit. And he goes, would you mind, Harry, would you mind terribly rolling me a joint before you go? I said, sure, no problem. Doing the Rick Rude voice makes me worse. So I roll him a joint. I said, dude, I got to drive. I was staying at another hotel, man. This was fun. I got to go. He says, sure. Tell the first two they can come in. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, you'll see. I walk out of his hotel room. There's a line of women standing online like they're buying tickets to a movie theater.
Simply ravishing.
And I'm like, he says the first two can go in. And the first two go in and the line moves up. And I'm like, when I grow up, I want to be him.
Yeah.
I heard from him after he left ECW. I think I was the last guy from ECW to hear from him. WCW, he did that whole thing where he was doing Vince's show while doing our show at the same time.
First time that ever happened.
But then he signed with WCW and he was on both shows on the same night because Raw was taped.
Yep.
I heard from him a little while later. WCW was at the Nassau Coliseum.
Mm.
And he left me a message on my answering machine at home. I didn't have a cell phone. He left me a message like, we're at the Coliseum with the wrestling show. And afterwards, I'm going to be at this hotel. If maybe you got a little weed, you can come by. Or you want to come see the show.
Harry, you can only come by if you got that tweed, brother.
No, he would have, he basically invited me to the show. And if I had pot, if I could bring him some weed, if I
icing on the cake, right?
I didn't get the message till the following day. I would have liked to have seen him because I think he died like 2 months after that.
Yeah, dude. And that was god awful, man. That one stung, man. I said, like, that guy, Jesus Christ, man, huge part of my childhood. And I also read that while he was in WCW, I know he wanted to work. Like, I think he took his money out of the Lloyd's of London fucking deal.
Yeah.
And so there was like some controversy there because he was training to make an in-ring comeback, and he wanted to have a few more matches. He had a few matches left in him, but the way the Lloyd's of London deal, much like Bret Hart's, was structured, if you did anything in the ring physical, you're done. Yeah.
So I think in the entire time he was in ECW, he only did the one Rude Awakening, and it hurt. So I don't know how the comeback would have happened unless he did a different finishing maneuver.
Right. Well, it's like, dude, it's like Hogan talking all these years of fucking, he's like, brother, I'm like 6'7", 300 pounds. Why did I do a leg drop? I'm Hulk Hogan. What does the Hulk do? He fucking smashes, like a fucking sleeper or a bear hug or something. And he's had to have how many back surgeries now? Like, I think it's in the teens, and he's gotten shorter from it.
Well,
like
Bruno, who was, they pushed how strong he was.
Yeah.
His thing was a bear hug.
Yeah.
Bob Backlund, rear naked choke.
Yeah.
The chicken wing.
The crossface chicken wing. Yeah.
Superstar Graham. His finisher was also the bear hug. The bigger guys back in before Hogan's day, they very rarely did any bumps. They didn't have to. Hogan, the leg drop, I understand why he did it, but you're right. He didn't have to. He could just put the guy in a headlock, squeeze until the guy gave up.
Yeah.
I'm the strongest man in the world. Give up or I'll crush your head.
Yeah, dude. What are you watching nowadays that kind of, or if anything, that kind of catches your attention? And have you had any offers from any of these like independent talents to maybe, that were fans that wanted you to fucking do some shit for them?
Over the years, I've had several independent wrestlers approach me about doing theme music. At the end of the day, if you're not going to get paid for what you do and you're not on television, I don't want to take your money.
Right.
Many, many fans have come up that grew up with ECW, and they've got good little careers, don't get me wrong. But unless it's your only job is to be a wrestler and you're on TV at least twice a week, there's no reason for me to take thousands of dollars of your money to give you an original theme.
Right.
It'll make you feel good as a wrestling fan, but that $1,000 or $2,000 I'm going to need to create music for you, that could be better suited to feed your family. You know, if you get signed, trust me, they'll give you music. It won't be for me, but they will give you music. As to working with anybody else, nobody's really asked.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this because, and this is a.
Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I was talking with Impact Wrestling many, many years ago. Many, many years ago.
Continue.
Nothing happened. Yeah, well, nothing continued from it.
Well, I think because when Dixie was running, I think her husband, Serge, whatever his name is, I think at the time, because he does music too, he was doing a lot of the.
Dale Oliver?
Okay, that sounds familiar too.
I think he was Serge's guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the politics there were. All I know is I was talking to, I believe it was Bob Ryder.
Okay, yeah, R.I.P. man. Fuck.
Yeah, he was another good dude. I didn't get to know him that well in ECW because things were crazy all the times. You know, it's like a lot of the people I'm friends with now, I barely knew back then because on the day of the show, okay, you're here to cover it on the internet, but I got 1,000 things to do. So my interaction with you is, hey, how are you? Do you need anything? Yeah,
that's like being at which, by the way, I hope all you guys had a happy and safe 4th of July, but I'm hosting the 4th of July party last weekend, you know, and I have a bunch of friends that show up. Everybody wants your attention and all this and that's, oh, great. You know, see, I got to go over here, you know?
You know, so Bob, when he was working with Dixie and Impact, he contacted me about licensing the old stuff, which was still in my possession.
So when you're talking about, was this when they're doing like EV 2.0 or in like
before that.
So even before the one-off, the show that Dreamer put together?
Before that, way before that. They had first approached me in the early 2000s before anything was transferred to WWE of my stuff.
No shit.
But nobody pulled the trigger. You got to smoke in front of me. I told you, I miss cigarettes. You're killing me, Smalls.
I'm sorry, brother. Sometimes you just gotta have that control.
Yeah, I know. But you know, I'll enjoy watching you smoke.
I had to take a shot of fucking Jack Daniels for Kurt Hennig while Buff Bagwell was at the accountability crib with DDP. So he was like, damn it, I wish I could be doing that too. Sorry, Buff.
What I watch these days, I watch New Japan.
Okay. I was just at the fucking Forbidden Door at the United Center. And I'll tell you what, it's so great and so awesome. Because as a kid, dude, I would see that and I would read about New Japan. I'd read about it more than I saw because obviously 90s and wasn't what it was as far as technology, you know. But to hear the respect that the fans give and whether, yes, AEW fans are very much like the smart marks that Pillman referred to back in the ECW days. They want to know it all. They want to blah, 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 this and that. But, dude, everybody paid all these great combatants fucking respect at that show. Yeah. And it was great to see guys like fucking Tanahashi and Okada fucking rip it up in person, you know? Holy fucking shit, that strong style. And go back and watch all the old stuff that they used to do with WCW and shit. Like, dude,
Muta, Chono, Scott
Masahiro Chono. Yep. I saw the picture with you and dude, you and Muta. I fucking love the Great Muta with all my heart and soul. He's the best Japanese wrestler, in my opinion, ever. And you guys can take it or fucking leave it. But dude, that dude captured my heart because at his time as a young kid growing up and watching that shit too, holy fuck. And man, was he unique, you know, like to an extent, you know.
Yeah.
He was obviously like storyline, you know, he was the Great Kabuki's like spinoff, like gimmick.
His son or his protege.
Right.
But they had already introduced him as Kaiji Muto.
Yeah.
As one of the young lions coming out of the New Japan farm system. All of us, I think he won his belt, his first IWGP Heavyweight Championship as Kaiji Muto before he took on the Great Muta persona. I believe I might be wrong, but I do believe the Great Muta persona happened here in the United States first.
I'm sure. I wouldn't doubt that. But dude,
he was affiliated with Gary Hart, who was the Great Kabuki's manager.
Yes. Yep. I have a Kabuki Gary Hart t-shirt. It's fucking awesome. Shout out to fucking Jeff Clayton from Anti-Scene for that.
So I really enjoy watching New Japan because it's the closest I've seen to the old Bruno era of wrestling, where I'm going to watch a wrestling show for an hour and I'm going to get 48 minutes of wrestling.
Yes.
And no Days of Our Lives, All My Children soap opera. So
you're very much a fan of the sport of professional wrestling, which, dude, I got mad respect for, and I love it. And when you say an hour of it, dude, Sretton knows it, because Sretton's also a big fan of, like, we go to these shows, right? And there's like super indies around us. So, dude, they stack the card. There's like so much talent you want to see that's either with Impact or AEW or just super hot on the indies. But you go there and it's like 4 fucking hours or something. It's like, I try to treat it as a party, so I'll have a good time. You know, I tailgate and do whatever, because that's a lot to ask from somebody. Give me an hour like ECW used to be, like Lucha Underground was not too long ago. And dude, and just the sport of it, like, God, MLW I think does a pretty decent job. I don't know if you watch them.
I haven't seen their show, but I also have to point out I am also a big fan of sports entertainment when it's taken to the next level of Bugs Bunny cartoons. During the pandemic, during lockdown, Impact Wrestling did Wrestle House.
I love the Wrestle House. That was amazing.
That was the shit.
I've seen that. I've binged watched it on YouTube so many times because it's just so freaking funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's you know, WWE. What do you like about that? Well, I liked when Triple H, when R-Truth would be in the ring and Triple H would be goofy.
Yeah.
I like to laugh. I prefer comedy over drama.
For sure. I think we can all fucking wholeheartedly agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do watch some of Impact Wrestling, but not a lot.
No, I mean, you got some boys there too. I mean, I think Lance Storm just took on a role there. Tommy's been there for a little bit.
I know that Johnny Swinger is at the height of his career doing the best work he's ever done.
We've had Swinger on the show, dude, and he is such an awesome guy, man.
Yes, he is,
and
he absolutely is.
Go ahead.
When Van Dam was at Impact with his girl Katie, they did some shows here in New York. So I went to the shows, and I hadn't really watched the product in a while. Now I knew Rich Swann and Sammy Callahan from the Indies and what have you. And I'm sitting at the table with Jimmy Mitchell, another good friend, you know, the Sinister Minister.
Yeah. Father James, brother.
And Johnny Swinger is sitting across from us. And I thought he was some kid.
Really?
Because he hadn't aged a day since ECW. Plus his look was totally different and he had the beard. And Swinger looks at me and goes, "Brother, are you Harry Slash?" I'm like, "Yeah." And you are? He goes, "Johnny Swinger." I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, how the hell did you not age a day? And then during the taping, I watched his segments. I went out of my way to see what he was doing. And I'm like, this is brilliant. This is hysterical. He's the throwback guy from like 80s wrestling.
Yeah. What do you want in the bag, the fanny pack with all the gimmicks? He's like, "What you want, brother? You know, I got some Rizats."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Rizats.
Oh my God.
All about hazing people and no one's supposed to be hazing.
Yeah. I can't get enough of Joe Doring. Joe Doring, Johnny's. I can't get enough of Swinger. He's hysterical. Rhino hasn't aged a day.
No, he's a cool dude. I've met him a few times. He's come out and he's a Detroit, he's a Midwest boy, so he's come to Northwest Indiana and do a couple of things like local promotions. Will do like Headlock on Hunger type deals, and he's
great
done
guy.
some. Oh, dude, he's really cool, dude. The Swinger thing it's real funny because like a few years ago, Impact was doing Bound for Glory in Chicago, and me and Sretton went to like it was Impact, but they were airing on like Fight or something, or maybe Impact Plus. but they were showcasing all the independents from around, like Zello Pro and Warrior and Black Label. Everybody who is anybody was being represented and had their people wrestling there. Well, we're there, and it's so surreal for me, like as a fan and just as a guy that is trying to carve my own niche in like the media world of side of entertainment and wrestling, to be hanging out with guys like, Cyrus, the motherfucking virus, like, oh my God. Like, and we walk up, I'm just like, I get up enough balls to be like, hey man, I'm just going to go up the swinger and fucking say, hey, what's up? This is what I do. This is who I am. Tell me to fuck off. I'll fuck off. I ain't no overbearing fan.
And he didn't tell you to fuck off.
Dude, he was cool. He's like, we were drinking a Budweiser, and I was like, I think Serenity, like, let's buy you a beer. He's like, nah, well, I was like, one beer, brother, it won't hurt. All right, buy me that beer. We get him a beer. We start talking, and I'm like, hey man, would you want to just come and shoot the shit sometime on our show? I've been a fan forever. I got mad respect for you. It'd be awesome. And dude, he obliged, and it was fucking killer. Good brother, nice. Man. Good fucking brother.
Swinger, awesome. Having the run of his life 20 years after ECW folded.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he's very entertaining. Jimmy Mitchell, I think now is with NWA, so I got to start finding his
Dude, he's weird because he's all over the place. He'll still pop in with like Impact. He's been on AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Father James Mitchell, you got to have him.
I think Jimmy's worked for every major company. I might be wrong, but I don't think he's worked for Vince.
You might be right about that, but I feel like there's something.
Well, I can explain why. James Mitchell plays the devil. Vince McMahon is the devil, and he doesn't want the competition.
Yeah, true. Well,
Vince, if you're listening to this, all disputes were amicably resolved by both parties, and I don't have a bad thing to say about you.
There you go.
Remember, I told you they got 600 lawyers on retainer.
Well, he's going to need every one of them right now, brother, because and the way cancel culture is and the stories that are coming out. Unfortunately, you went public, so it's not just you anymore. If this shit gets sour enough to where people are like, you know what? We're all voting you out. You got to get out.
Well, like the great Buddy Rogers once said, to a nicer guy, it couldn't happen.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Dude, what about like I also saw pictures of you hanging out with, and there's so many people, dude, but like there's like certain ones that like catch my interest because I'm a huge fan, whatever. And I had some personal experience with Tracy Smothers, another good guy that's fucking gone way too fucking soon, man. What was your interactions like with him?
Hanging out, partying, shooting the shit.
Yeah,
I could see that. Definitely.
Dude, I don't have a specific Tracy Smothers story other than he was somebody I was always happy to see when I'd go to the TV tapings. And the only thing that sticks out is he didn't know that I did. Most of the company didn't know I was doing the music until the CD came out.
Mm.
They had no idea that Paul's friend Harry was the guy doing the ECW theme or Taz's theme, because I didn't put myself over to the boys. I've said this on other interviews. I didn't think that what I was doing with music was nearly as important to the overall show as what I did behind stage and in production.
Right.
Because the show would have still happened without my music, but in certain instances, if I wasn't there to make sure Sandman got to the ladder when he made his return, or if I didn't sneak Public Enemy or Sid into a building, or if I didn't get, A, B, and C done in half the time needed because Paul forgot to ask somebody to do this shit right before pay-per-view, stuff wouldn't have happened, but it would have still carried on without the music. So there was no reason for me to run around with a t-shirt saying I did the ECW music or anything like that back then.
True. Yeah.
Most fans had no idea who I was until the video game came out.
The video game, speaking of the video game, I had to use that image because I'm trying to find like a good enough image with my limited editing capabilities for the graphic for this episode. Mm-hmm. What was that shit like? Because let's just be honest. And Bodie, I know you played it. The game was a real piece of shit. It was WWF fucking Warzone, and no disrespect. But you remember what that was, dude? The character renders. Remember, these were their hands. Like a fist was that.
Actually, it was one hand that they made backwards.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Because when they took pictures, I was wearing the no finger gloves. They only took a picture of the right hand. And they said, oh, we're just going to flip it. I'm like, all right, but what if I was missing fingers on my left hand? They're like, oh, well, then we take pictures of your left hand. we were the bastard stepchild. We got the hand-me-downs.
Yeah. Because
You gotta
WWE by that time had just went with THQ, who WCW was working with.
And Acclaim was left picking up the pieces.
Yeah.
Originally, we were supposed to have that Akai game engine.
Holy fuck,
shit.
brother. Holy fuck. We're thinking about talk about No Mercy being the greatest game ever. What if it was a licensed ECW game? You just blew my mind.
You did, yeah. I just got a chubber.
My favorite game of all time is Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, the Japanese.
Yes, I have the
Fuck
first one. But yes,
Good
you were
shit.
very much fucking
Hell
right.
yeah. I love those games.
Okay. I forget how it went down, but ECW, I think, had signed the deal with THQ, and we got traded as an intellectual property to another company who then traded us for a third baseman to be named later in a draft. I forget. But somehow we ended up at Acclaim. Acclaim was never on the table when the talk of the video game started. It's just our license just kept getting hot potatoed, and it ended up in Acclaim's lap. So we ended up with the Raw is War Warzone game engine, which you had to press 32 different button combos just to do a headlock.
That's terrible. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, don't even get me started on how fucking
forget escaping the cage.
Yeah.
Well, I was very familiar with the game. And when we went to Acclaim Studios to take our pictures and sound bites and all that.
Who was doing all the mocap shit? Were they doing any?
I don't know. I know that Nova and Chris Chetty did it years later.
Right.
For their Legends of Wrestling series.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that. Those. I think they just used whatever moves they already had from the WWE. Now, after I do, all that stuff, they take the pictures and they take you into booth and they have you, sound, do your catchphrase. I'm like, I'm a fucking musician. I'm not a wrestler. I don't have a catchphrase. The opening, they said they made, I chose my own opening. I said, all right, do this. Have me go down to the ring smoking weed. I wanted it to be a hookah.
Yeah.
One of those big ass water pipes. And like, no, we can't do it. I was like, what about a Sherlock Holmes pipe? And they're like, okay, we could do that. So that's basically me stoned off my ass, having trouble to get into the ring. Okay. I didn't want to come off as a wrestler. I never wanted to be a wrestler. I had no desire to get in the ring. So I played it for laughs. But when the time came to choose my moves, I picked all the moves from the game that I knew were next to impossible to counter. So I became one of the most difficult players to beat in that game. If you ever had the misfortune,
you hear that, kids? Ain't no fucking Game Genie helping you now, right?
No. If you were in career mode and you came up against Harry Slash, you were going to get wrapped up in the tree of woe, get a crucifix pin, and I believe my finish I chose was the heart punch that Stan Stasiak used.
Yes.
And then Mark Calloway used. I've never seen it. I tried to do my finish in the game, but having to go up, down, left, right, blue button, green button, spin around, do the hokey pokey, and turn yourself around. I ended up just doing simulated matches, watched it a couple times, and said, "Yeah, I'm done with this."
Right.
And plugged in Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and just enjoyed it.
So, were you an avid gamer? Or do you game at all now? Or
I did back then. N64, first PlayStation, Dreamcast. And the last gaming system I got was the GameCube.
I'm sorry.
And that, it had some
Nintendo misfires sometimes.
I ran out of time, but I continued playing Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 on my N64 for almost 20 years.
You don't have it anymore?
My Game Shark burnt out and I just never replaced it.
So you don't have the actual cartridge game.
Oh, I still have the games.
Do you?
I have.
Let's talk off air. Come on, Harry.
Honestly, the Japanese games, I don't think I'm ever going to sell. Because
You
one day
can't
I'll
get buried
probably-
with them, brother. You're holding
Yeah,
out
this is-
for something
yeah.
wetter.
All right, well, you are younger than me, so we'll talk about leaving you something in my will.
Yes, a fucking
Fire Pro.
dude. I'll be like 60 by the time he actually fucking kicks the bucket. I'm like, oh yeah.
Every so often I go up on eBay and I look at Game Sharks because that's the only way to get the Japanese games to work. So one of these days, I
There's
might just
another
get a
way.
Game-
Brother, there's another way. I will tell you and everybody else real quick. The more you know. Hey, someone's got an emergency.
Sorry.
Yeah,
what's going
buddy,
on?
you piece of shit. That's what happens when you live in the panhandle, man. When you go on eBay and buy these Japanese games, Fire Pro, albeit whatever it is, there is a little tool you can buy because if you look at the back of those games, there's 2 screws that are a weird fucking, it's like only a Nintendo style screw. You buy this little piece online, you take the back off, go fucking buy like Spyro 64 or some game that you could still get for like $1 or $2 at a fucking dumpster mom pa video game store or whatever online. And all you do is switch the backs. And once you do that, they'll plug into an American 64. They will still work. I know this because I did this with Virtual Pro Wrestling 1. And it fucking works. So, you know.
Well, I did see a YouTube video where you have to buy a tool, take the top of the N64 off, take the piece that you plug the game into off, and cut the 2 tabs.
Yeah, there's that. But dude, the way easier, like I said, it's way easier to just fucking take a back off an American game and put it on the Japanese game. It works, dude. I fucking done it. How about this? You give me that game, I'll give you the tool.
But then I won't need the tool if you have the game.
Yeah, the games to play. Come on, Harry, quit being so stingy, motherfucker.
Playing games with my.
Well, maybe one day I'll just go for the Game Shark, plug it back in, spend the next 4 days playing as Abdullah the Butcher.
Yes.
Yes.
That was such a great game. Plus the
Yes,
the creator wrestler mode in Virtual Pro 2.
Oh,
Andre was
amazing.
in that too, and I think Muhammad Ali, like the Road
No, that
Warriors,
was
Ken
one.
Shamrock.
Muhammad Ali was in Virtual
Okay.
Pro 1.
Oh yeah, 1-1.
Okay. He wasn't in 2, but even the creator wrestler mode in Virtual Pro 2 gave you more to work with than No Mercy, because you could basically adjust how many times they would go for finishing moves, how many times they would do taunts, stuff like that. If you were into the creating part of it, like I created all the Japanese guys, I created the Road Warriors, anything they gave me the parts of within the game, I created those guys like Masao Inoue that, nobody's ever heard of, but his face and his trunks were in the game. So I figured out his moveset and I created him.
Yeah, dude, I always got a
Awesome.
kick out of it. I still have on like my No Mercy. There's guys like that. There's like fucking Sabu and the Road Warriors and shit, and even Ultimate Warrior and all that. I love when they give you a little piece. That used to be
Yeah.
exciting and fun. Nowadays, dude, I bought 2K22 and I'm like, I fucking don't ever even play it. I got excited because I want a good arcadey modern day, and I'm hoping that this AEW game becomes that, modern day Virtual Pro or
Well, they
Mercy
said
or
they're
something.
using the game engine from the Akai game engine is what's supposed to be what AEW is building their game off of. That game engine ended up in the Def Jam, the Vendetta game.
Yep. Just
loved it.
did.
Vendetta and Fight for New York, which I still have an original Xbox copy, and dude, those are going for anywhere between $100 and $200.
I have the Def Jam Vendetta. I think I have that for the GameCube. I never got the New York one.
Oh,
That was a good
so
one.
Great,
Fight
dude.
for New York.
Motherfucking Henry Rollins is in that
Yeah, he is.
motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, but you can't play. You can't play as Henry Rollins. He's the trainer.
No, you can play as him. You can unlock him.
In the second one? Or
Yeah.
the first? All right, I never got the second one, just the first one.
Oh man.
And even in the first one, you could only play as a created guy. You couldn't play,
Right.
so if you wanted to, you had to create yourself or create a generic character and go through the whole story. But as far as the gameplay, you could see that if it had been like the next generation of WWE games or whatever, it would have been the best wrestling game ever because of how great the graphics were.
Right. Dude, so as we wind down here, I want to do a little thing here because, dude, like I said, it's just, we could talk for hours and hours, brother. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a two-parter anyway. And I'm very glad that you could join us for our monumental. This is right before 200. So
if it's a two-parter, does that mean I'm 199 and 200?
Yeah, it does. But I do the weird little shit. I fuck with the people, the listeners. Like there's a continuity. There is a timeline. We've been over 200 for a long time because we also do another show that's, you know,
subsidiary.
Yeah. But dude, I'm so glad you could join us for this and to be able to make this a fucking two-parter is amazing. You have so many fucking stories. And dude, if you want to come back sometime, I'm sure we're going to have some fucking, you know, some thoughts, some themes that might require your attention and your input. But I'm going to list some names right now. And all I want from you, maybe a rapid fire type scenario, if you will. You just tell me what the first thing comes to mind. All right.
Okay.
Bill Alfonso.
Daddy.
Yes.
Great guy. Brilliant.
Yes. Great guy.
Love him, dude. Love him.
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam.
Friend.
Tommy Dreamer.
Friend.
New Jack.
Acquaintance.
Okay, I'll dig it.
A good acquaintance with a lot of love. You know, dude, I couldn't possibly be as close to everybody back then. You know, because much like in real life, you know, when you're working with people, you have a certain group of people that become family, another group that become friends, another group that become acquaintances.
Well, here's the thing then. Okay, we'll skip that whole fucking little thing. Who would you say was your family? Like your acquaintances or what? You had, I'm sure back in the day, and I'm sure the parties back then were fucking amazing, dude.
Ted.
Who was that tight-knit group of brothers and sisters that you were hanging and partying with, and who was all connected in that little group?
Heyman would be family because I was hanging out with him during the week as well as on weekends.
God, man.
Van Dam, Sabu, Louis Spicoli.
Yes.
Louis. Dreamer will always be like, it could be 5 years in between talking to Tommy and there's no love lost the moment we see each other. Jimmy Mitchell, all of them to a degree are close, but some I was closer to than others. Like Balls Mahoney, I was really, really tight with.
Dude, Balls, I wish I would have met him. He seemed like such a fucking great dude. And I always loved it. I think because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in those games too, the video games, he had like the immolation shirts on and shit.
Yeah, and he wasn't supposed to.
That's so cool, dude. That's like Cannibal Corpses in Ace Ventura back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Balls Mahoney wore the T-shirt and Acclaim didn't realize it was a band.
That's awesome.
That's great.
He's got some D&D shit on.
I know that at one point, I think it was Metal Blade Records were like, how did our logo for this band get in the game? But there was no money for them to sue over.
Right.
So I know the guys at the record labels like, hey, man, it's just free publicity. They didn't freak out over it. But that was just an oversight on Acclaim's part. They had the capability of changing the T-shirt. They just didn't realize it was a band. They thought it had something to do with his character.
That's awesome. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing, real quick, because we were talking, dude, you're a fucking musician. We're musicians. We like to do this shit. Sretton, he doesn't play, but all he does is listen. Mount Rushmore's all that dumb, silly question shit. Let me throw at least one of them at you. Your top 5 favorite bands, musical acts, like who are the most inspiring artists that made fucking Harry Slash want to get the fuck up and do shit. And this is why I got to have you back because, dude, I was doing a deep dive and researching you. a little bit because, dude, like I said, I've been a fan a long time. But, dude, Joe Lynn Turner, come on. You're Stone Cold. Fuck yeah, dude. How can you replace Ronnie James Dio? You can't. But, dude, what was it? Straight Between the Eyes? Great album. I own that shit on fucking wax, dude. Like, who are the guys, the men and women or artists that do it for you, man?
Well, Joe Lynn is like family. You know, we became. You
got to hook us up. I would love to fucking talk with Joe Lynn, man.
He lives in Belarus right now. He moved. He left he still has, I think, an apartment or a house here in the States, but he lives in Belarus. He married a woman who's from Belarus.
Oh, where's Belarus?
By Russia, isn't it?
Someone's going to ask. Like this dumb motherfucker right here.
North of Greece, bordering on the Russia.
No shit.
Here's the thing with Joe Lynn. He does a show in Europe or Japan or Russia, and he's playing in front of 30,000 people. He does a show in New Jersey here in the United States, and he's playing in front of 50 to 100.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He still has a huge career everywhere on the planet except the United States.
What does that tell you about the American music
Sounds like
consumer? We're fucking stupid and brainwashed. Anyways, proceed.
Short attention.
They want pop. Span. They want pop music and 30-second TikToks.
There you go.
I know, dude. I know.
Yeah, I met Joe Lynn and didn't know who he was at first. We met at a club. Yeah, we ended up talking politics and just psychology for like 2 hours before somebody came up and said, "Hey, Harry, I see you met Joe Lynn Turner." I'm like, "Oh, wow, is he here?" I was talking to some guy named Joe, similar to with Paul Heyman. We became friends before I knew who the person, what they really were about. So, but as far as personally, I would have to put Led Zeppelin in my top 5. The Who and Pink Floyd tied. The obscure ones now would be Bob Marley, Tom Waits.
Ooh, solid.
Currently, my number 1 is Leonard Cohen.
Oh, nice.
Everybody knows.
Every time I listen to Leonard Cohen, I learn something new.
Fuck yeah.
As far as a musician. And without getting too serious, I'm not a very religious person by any means. I'm the opposite of a religious person. But when
sacrilegious boils and ghouls.
There you go. But when I listened to Leonard Cohen's last album, the album called You Want It Darker, I believe that if God existed, that means right around 1930, he looked around. He said, there's nothing left for me to create. I'm just going to go to Earth and be a songwriter for the next 80 years. And he was born in Canada under the name Leonard Cohen. Because no mere mortal can put together the lyric, verse, and melody lines and the music that Leonard Cohen did over the last 10 years of his life.
I'll give you that, brother. But I think for me, a real strong up and runner for that is Mark Lanigan, who also we just lost from the Screaming Trees, dude.
Yeah.
What a fucking voice. What a lyricist. What a fucking just like, wow, dude. Ain't going to be no other like him, Yeah,
as a musician, I got to give props to Johnny Cash also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was a strong influence. Frank Zappa, absolutely a very strong influence. And as far as personal favorites, Queen has got to be up there. I got to see Queen with Freddie Mercury a couple of times.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Whoa,
my God.
Whoa. Holy fuck. Where was that at?
Wow.
What was that like? Because, dude, obviously I missed that boat. I was born in 82, brother. I fucking love Freddie Mercury. To me, as far as rock goes, I mean, unique voices, there's so many different great ones, right? I think there's like the ones that are just really untouchable that so many people try to emulate that they can't. Robert Plant, you're a Zeppelin fan, being one of them. I'm not a huge Zeppelin guy, but dude, they have a hell of music. And dude, John Bonham, if you go and watch old YouTube videos, what that guy was able to do with like a no-piece kit was fucking just like fucking insane.
Jazz drumming, man.
Brutal.
It's all that jazz drumming. 1 foot blast.
What Neil Peart did with 20 different drums, John Bonham did with 4.
Exactly.
Yes, dude.
Yep.
Yes. And that's fucking talent. That motherfucker was the drums, you know. He's just this barbaric, everlasting force in rock and roll, heavy music. But dude, Freddie Mercury's voice is untouchable. It is opera, it is rock and roll. It's like all these things that you have bands like. I'm waiting for, I don't know if you ever listened to Darkness at all, but they actually Roger Taylor's son Tiger plays drums for the Darkness, dude. And dude, Justin Hawkins, if they ever covered a Queen song, I want it so bad. Dude, Justin Hawkins has like Queen tattooed on his knuckles, like their faces and shit. They would be the perfect band.
I got to see Queen at Madison Square Garden. I believe I was still in high school at the time. I saw them on the Fat Bottom Girls jazz tour, and I had seen, I believe the tour right before that was, I think it was the News of the World tour.
Okay.
With We Are the Champions, that era. So I did get to see Queen in their entirety with all 4 original members.
Awesome.
What it was like was surreal.
I mean, and that's kind of hard. I mean, maybe a dumb question on my part. At least I look, and, you know, we've all done our fair share of partying, but it's like when you go to like shows with bands that are like so big and so influential, it's like, well, what was that like? And then as years pass, it's like sometimes it's even the most important ones that you've ever been to, it's hard to remember that shit, you know?
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
Fucking Queen, man. Fucking awesome. Well, brother, dude, it's been a fucking honor and a privilege to talk to you, man. And we're going to have to do this again if you're down, because there's so much we could dive into, man.
We only spoke about ECW for like 10 minutes out of 2 hours.
Exactly. And just covered the tip of the iceberg about music.
Yeah.
The very tip, man. Right now is the time for you to let everybody know that's watching and listening. And if you are watching on YouTube right now, hit like and subscribe. Share that shit with your friends, man, because we're some cool motherfuckers to hang out with, and we're giving you fucking Harry fucking Slush, fucking destroying shit.
That alone should get 1,000.
Danzig. You mentioned Danzig earlier too. I'm a huge Danzig mark, so whatever.
Yeah, you are.
Dude, I love Q Lazarus, dude. Come on, Goodbye Horses. Dude, that song.
Nice.
If I was ever to wrestle, that would be my fucking song to come out to. And I'm surprised. I mean, I'm sure someone's probably done it. I haven't really seen too much on it, but that would be a fucking like some creepy motherfucker coming out, dick tucked and shit. You know,
that's this is a shoot. I almost came out to Winter from Tori Amos when I wrestled because it's creepy. That piano and the way she sings, it's like I wanted it for after my matches because my matches were so brutal. And after I win, I just sit up and there's blood all over my face. I wanted that to play and people just be fucking freaked out. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Nice.
But it's a brutal song. I love it.
I saw Sabu at a show in New York. They didn't have his music.
Mm-hmm.
So he told the DJ to play something by Madonna.
Yes.
And he came out to Like a Virgin by Madonna.
Holy shit, dude. To be a fly on the wall, man.
Very, surreal, very trippy to watch. I was there live for it. It was awesome.
Man. That's fucking badass. I would have chose Papa Don't Preach, but you know, whatever. That's just my personal taste.
I don't think the DJ had it. I think it was just whatever the DJ had.
Dude, I'm a weird guy. I get down all kinds of different shit. Like I said, we're talking about Dying Fetus tonight, Madonna, you know, Led Zeppelin, Frank Zappa. It's all over the motherfucking place, you know? But dude, right now, let everybody know what you got going on. If you got any merch or anything for sale, where people can find you at and follow you.
Okay, well, before I plug myself, and that sounds horrible, but
and you still got those wrestling buddies too, because
well, I don't know if there's any. Yeah, they might be. All right, follow El Cheapo Grosso on Instagram. He was selling Harry Slash and the Slash Tones T-shirts and those wrestling buddies. Awesome artist named Alex Boston from the West Coast. He drew all that shit himself. He's also done them for like Sinister Minister, and I think he did some stuff for Game Changer Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken, or No Holds Barred, one of those two.
Yeah.
But El Cheapo Grosso. Definitely check out Extreme Collector on Instagram.
Instagram, I follow. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He comes out with the trippiest limited edition fan merchandise where he'll do like a hand-drawn November to Remember 95 t-shirt and only do 25 of them, and that's it. You know, he's got some great stuff. Myself, I'm on Twitter as Harry Slash. I'm on Facebook as Harry Slash. I'm on Instagram as Harry Slash. Don't ask me for the links. You guys got Google. You can find them yourself.
Or look in the fucking description and
look in the descriptions. There should be a link to SoundCloud where I threw up some ECW outtakes and some original stuff I've been working on. And, you know, I'm out there. I'm just part of the Antisocial Network. So, you know, if you do a little digging, you could find me. I'm really not I don't play well with others. So it's easier if you guys come to me than I go to you, because then I never leave.
There you go.
That's right, brother. Well said.
So there's your plugs. Definitely check out Ray and the Extreme Collector. Definitely check out Alex, Cheapo Grosso for some amazing merch, even if it's not my own. And as far as my own merch, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll do more shit.
One more question, because all that just brought me to this. Are you aware of like the StarCast thing that's been going on? Like Conrad Thompson does that shit, you know, and they're doing it for Ric Flair's last match that's coming up. Would that ever be some, say, if they approached you, that you would do like, let's do a fucking ECW live where you play like 30-minute set of ECW songs? Because dude, they got Ruckus from AEW that's doing concerts and little shit now before shows.
I would have to learn my own shit again, but yeah, sure.
Dude, we do it with our band all the time. It's like my guitar players, I don't fucking remember that song. I was like, fucking relearn it.
Dude, I was in the car with Captain Joe Shoes from the Major Brothers podcast.
Yeah.
I've known him for 20 years, and he had a song on his car radio or something like that, or his cassette player or CD. And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, why does this fucking thing sound so familiar? And he's like, because it's you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot we did that song. But StarCast, man, you know, if anybody, it's like Jake Roberts said, you can either be a streetwalker or a call girl. Okay, I prefer to call myself a very high-priced hooker. I will fuck you for a lot of money, but not in a sexual way.
Damn it! Cut.
Let him up. Let him.
Now, if they ever reached out to me, I'm sure I could do something, but it's not something I'm actively pursuing. Musically, before the pandemic, I had spent several years writing a new album of new material that doesn't sound like anything anybody's ever heard. You know, if the ECW stuff was like Led Zeppelin meets White Zombie, the stuff that I was working with the guys was more like Johnny Cash meets Frank Zappa.
Okay.
Or like Leonard Cohen meets Tom Waits, very storytelling, acoustic material, a lot of melodic stuff. And the pandemic kind of threw that all out the window. Right before the lockdown 2 years ago, I had 6 shows booked, including the Newport Folk Festival.
Oh, nice.
Not anymore.
Damn.
You know, plus various injuries of the individual guys I was working with, including car accidents, kept putting that project on the shelf. So as far as musically, I don't know what's next for me. It might just be me and the guitar. You know, like Donovan or Bob Dylan, something really stripped down.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need, brother. But hey, for anybody watching and listening right now, and if somehow that son of a bitch Conrad Thompson, we know you got money, Conrad, hanging out with the Nature Boy, fucking make that shit happen, because, dude, I can just only imagine the ticket sales in the line if something like that, like Harry Slash,
son-in-law. Money.
Somebody did approach me about doing something like that. The guitar player I worked with back in ECW, Roderick Cohn, was one of them. He currently lives in Florida. The drummer, Steve Budgie, lives in the Carolinas. There would have to be some decent coin for me to do something with the original guys that I recorded with back then, because only 2 or 3 still live in New York. You know, and one dude said to me, you know, I forget where he wanted me to appear, to basically get on a plane and play with a band that I'd never met before that would be rehearsed. Yeah. Which, as a musician, I'm not comfortable about meeting the guys for the first time at a show.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm right there with you.
You know, but hey, what's the dude that runs StarCast?
Conrad Thompson.
Hey, Conrad,
he's married to Ric Flair's daughter.
I'm available for autograph signings, personal appearances, and if you have enough money, I will clean your bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. I just don't do windows.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Hey, did I plug the Extreme Collector?
Yes, you did, but you can plug them again because we're all about fucking getting everybody into it, you know?
That's the beauty of social media. Like, I don't know you, I've never met you, but I can consider you a friend that I haven't met yet. The same thing with guys like Ray, who is the Extreme Collector. He's just a great dude. So if I can give anybody a plug, an attaboy, I do it.
Fuck yeah, brother. Well, I hope you plug the shit out of this and tell all your friends that, like,
I will.
If they need a good, open, positive space to talk, dude, we're all about it, man. You know?
Always.
Absolutely. Also, a shout out to Zombie Sailor, Chella Toys, and Rush Collectibles.
Yes. Fuck. We're trying to end this episode, but then you keep dragging me back in, brother. Suck it. Like hitting the joint a little too hard.
I believe, I don't know how well they would say, but I think the world is in dire need of a Harry / Hasbro retro.
Yes,
I agree.
Designed by the motherfucker who was doing the original Hasbros. I saw, and for those of you out there that check out Harry on SoundCloud, which all you gotta do is click the fucking link in the description.
Better.
You did like what? Is it their like theme or what?
No. I knew Zombie Sailor. I knew the kid like 20 years ago when he was doing ring crew for local indies. I didn't know him well.
Right,
but the title, Heels and Faces, inspired me to write a song. So I even sent him a link to it. I said, you know, I'm not writing it for him to use it. It's just his whole retro line got me into thinking about wrestling themes. So I tried writing a few using, you know, digital media. And I put them up on SoundCloud. If I was still doing wrestling themes, that's kind of like what it would sound like. And Heels and Faces was the first one, inspired by his toy line, but I didn't do it for him. I did it for myself.
Fuck yeah.
You know, so
I saw that and I was like marking out. I was like, dude, fucking got Harry Slash. Dude, it's amazing, man. And that dude's doing a great, what he's doing is awesome. I'm sure he gets blown up a lot. I've tried to get him on the show and I haven't been in contact yet, but he's doing a lot of cool shit, man, with a lot of these action figures. You get, you know, guys like Sabu, and there's some figures I think I've never even been in the line, like ever, like a Hasbro style, you know.
Dino Bravo never had a figure before Zombie Sailor.
Yeah, dude, that's so awesome. Dino Bravo was the shit, man. Yeah, Dino Bravo, he's doing I thought they do an Andre one too?
They're going to be doing an Andre, Bruiser Brody, Raven is coming out.
Yes, Raven.
Yeah.
Dude, what was Raven like? Did you party with Raven? Come on.
Drugs, never. Did I hang out and have these intense philosophical discussions with Raven? Absolutely.
I can see that.
Dude, I've always heard like great mind for the business. He's like that Jake Roberts level of like psychology.
But I'm not even talking about having wrestling psychology discussions. Mm-hmm. We're talking about like
life
how Neil Gaiman had taken an element from this obscure Edgar Allan Poe story and incorporated into his Sandman streaming series. Weird shit like those were the conversations I usually have with Scott.
Oh, if we're talking Neil Gaiman, dude, that's another show for another time.
Yes.
Oh my
dude,
God.
I love that shit. Yeah,
huge
he knows
fan.
Where that. And dude, he was wearing the Suicidal Tendency shirt. The Dinosaur Jr. Feel the Pain shirt.
Yeah.
I have that shirt. I've had it for like 25 fucking years. And I marked out so hard when I seen Raven wearing it on TV. I'm like, yes.
Oh.
Well, as far as Zombie Sailor's Raven, they got Ray, the Extreme Collector, who's a huge Raven fan.
Yeah, he got
to consult on the creation of Raven's retro. So it is going to be spot on as his first appearance in ECW, including the T-shirt.
Oh, that's fucking amazing.
So I
oh my
believe
God.
he's going to be wearing the Ministry T-shirt,
Yes,
if I'm not
fuck
mistaken, that he wore when he first came into the company.
Oh,
So it's going to be the most historically accurate wrestling figure
yes.
that's going to be coming out eventually.
Oh, take my money.
Yeah, dude, Zombie
Yeah,
Taylor.
basically.
Zombie Taylor. Zombie Sailor's got so much fucking cool shit. I think they're doing a Pillman figure too.
Yes, Pillman. They're doing Andre. They're doing Bruiser Brody. They're doing Raven.
They did Earl Hebner. Like, come on, man.
I'm waiting for my Sabu. That should be coming shortly because they finally arrived.
They got Nick Gage coming, I think.
Yeah, Nick Gage one.
Well, for me personally, I'll only be getting the guys I knew and the guys I grew up watching. I mean, nothing against Nick Gage. He's great at what he does, but he's not in my universe.
Right.
Right.
And
But
hey,
like-
man, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
You
Well,
know,
dude,
even I saw the first match, like the third tag match that the Major Brothers were ever in when they were going by Brett Matthews and Brian Myers or something like that.
Brian Myers.
NYWC Wrestling School. These guys, I saw their I think their third match ever.
No
as a
shit.
tag
Matt
team.
Cardona.
I remember telling Shane O'Neill, who was their trainer, I'm like, these guys have no clue how talented they are. It's like when York and Matthews first came into ECW, everybody was like, I can't believe how good these guys are. And they're like only 20 years old.
Right. Yeah. Christian York and Joey Matthews. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the same thing in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
And Myers and Matthews or Zack Ryder or
Matt Cardona.
The Major Brothers.
Yes,
I saw the same thing in them on their third match. I'm like, these guys are going to go far.
The edge heads. They were edge heads at one point.
Hey, it got them in the door.
Dude, Cardona's destroying it this last year and a half.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
he is
injured right now because he was NWA World's Champion. Come on, brother. We're just sitting up to talk about the sport. To quote Shane Douglas, of professional wrestling. It doesn't get much more fucking sport to me than fucking Sweet Charlotte, dude. The 10 pounds of gold. I'm sorry.
Agreed. That was the belt I grew up watching. That's the reason I own a Jack Briscoe figure.
Yes.
You know, and I even bought the NWA title belt. Early on, Impact Wrestling had included the NWA belt with some of their figures.
Yep.
So
I have that one where it's like it's a NWA belt, but it's a ring that opens up. Like you open the fucking plate, and there's a little AJ and a little Jeff Jarrett. I think it was.
I don't think I've seen that, but I did purchase the NWA belt to put on my Jack Briscoe figure.
Yes. Fuck yeah.
It just seemed right. Like he should have it. That was the first NWA champion I think I remember.
Fuck yeah, brother. I love it. Love the history. We got to have more. Hey, everybody out there watching and listening right now, if you're on any podcasting platform, please share. All you got to do is fucking do that and we'll be cool. Rate and review. Tell us what you think. If you think the show sucks, if you think it's fucking great, change your life. It's happened to a few people. I can't explain why, but hey, man, it was cool motherfuckers. Hashtag them juice boys about to wet you up. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you had a great 4th of July. If you guys are in the Tinley Park area on July 9th, which is this weekend, come see my band Handsome Prick. We'll be at fucking Sound Growler Brewing. It's a great fucking underground metal / brewery joint that you can get the best Mexican food. It's so good, dude. Their tacos and nachos, all that shit. It's fucking out of this world. And their beer is, ooh, child. Yeah, it's fucking turning me up. Turn the sweating up a little too. I could already tell. But yeah, July 9th, Handsome Prick. We're live. We're going to fucking destroy your lives. Hit us up. Until next time, this is the Juice. That's Bruiser motherfucking Bodie. That's Sweating the Somewhat Calm Savage. And that's Harry Slash from Harry the Slash Stones, the motherfucking ECW icon, the OG of the fucking pro wrestling team in the modern era, the most important motherfucker that you need to know right now. Wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up. so fucking what? Slash, it's fucking amazing. It's out of this world. And if you are too, I'll fucking come. I'll find you and I'll
Soaked.
grease you down.
I'm soaked. Ooh, baby.
You gonna do sex to me?
Did you like that video? If so, be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out more killer content from your boys at Juice Pro Wrestling. Whoa, yeah!